So here's the Maverick safe all installed. When you watch this video, you're gonna learn a couple things not to do and maybe some things that helped. Isn't that why we'll watch these videos, to learn from someone else's mistake? Anyway, so what I learned, the biggest thing, two things. When I first tried to turn this, like, oh hey, you know, combo is right, let me just pull, because I didn't read the instructions. This just turns, makes it a lot easier. Secondly, the felt pad that's at the very bottom here, probably should have taken that out first, but I didn't. And it might help with just a little bit more snugness in the front and rear. I don't know, it's not very thick. It's, I can feel it with my finger here. You can see the blue back underneath there. It's like a 1/8 inch or so. You might want to take that out. It might drop this a little more snug to the console itself. Anyway, that's something to think about before you install this. I would recommend you watch this video completely instead of just kind of trying to put it together like I did. And then, you know, you can see what you learn from it, from my mistakes. Anyway, good luck. It's pretty easy. All right, so this is the console vault, or called in-vehicle safe by Ford. It's made by Console Vault. It's a Ford licensed product, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to attempt to install it. I got one earlier, and it was supposedly for this vehicle, but it was too large, and this is a much smaller box, which I think still is kind of a crazy size box for what it is. So we're gonna go ahead, and this is my handy dandy toolkit that I keep back here with some other stuff. Anyway, so we'll open the box left-handed, which I'm not, and we'll see what's in it. Instructions, but they don't provide a video, which that's what I'm doing. Nuts and bolts. I'm gonna stick down into my little orange holder thing. This is a little piece of foam that goes on the bottom. Oh, let's just show you. See, actual foam. And I know this a little bit from opening the one that was the wrong one. So here is the guts of the mechanism. You see how it's all sandwiched? Well, so this goes like that, and these attach to the top piece, and this is at the bottom and the front. And it will go, yeah, this is not a one-handed thing, something like this, I believe. That says front, down into the console. And these flip down. And then that is the top cover that attaches to it. And let's see if there's anything else in here. That's it. So we have a big box for a couple metal things that could probably fit in half of that. Anyway, so step 1, open your console. Step 2, unload all the junk. If you don't have junk in it already, then you're doing something wrong probably. But, so we're just gonna take out all this stuff. I mean, you never know who's gonna, you might need tissues and to be able to charge your laptop or something. And my instructions for my solar charger that I stick on the windshield up here, because this car doesn't get driven that much. And the pen that I stole from the hotel, probably. Yep, Holiday Inn Express. Okay, vehicle is on. Yes, I've got the air conditioner going. So it goes in here, and something. I might have to set you down. Hang on. Okay, so this is the challenging part. Because if you were just to try to drop this in, it doesn't fit. And front to back, looks like there's a gap. But the console kind of narrows down. So you have to put this thing in at an angle like this. And then hit it. And you have to like lift it into place. Don't set you down again. So now I have basically grab it, lift it into place. If you keep pulling it, it stops. Doesn't really matter where it is. So let's see. Factory combination is set to zeros. And so I should just be able to turn that. It's being a little tough. So I'm gonna play with that for a second. All right. So they were set to 0. One was not set to 0. The factory code is all zeros. Another helpful piece of information. This is just a handle. Don't try turning that. You just turn this. And it pops open. There's also these little paper thingy on the corners in here like this. And they kind of inhibit that latch. And it also doesn't pop up. So I would say open it before you put it in there. To make it easier to get you. So now you can see the 2 screws here, or I guess they're like encaptured bolts. So they will go into this thing. So you got to drop this in there, and then they lift up. And you can't really see that side. Maybe we can see that side. So they're too short, which means that this is too high up. And if it comes up higher, you can start to see that there's a gap in the back. So now I'm going to lower this down onto, lift those bolts on that side. Probably want to attach it before I do this other side, but let's just see what happens. So there it is. So you can see now it's in there, but what you can't tell is it's suspended from the floor. If I feel maybe like ½ inch or so, the whole thing's going to go ½ inch lower. But before I do that, handy dandy bag of hardware, which I'm going to dump into this little orange hardware holder thing, and these nuts go on here. So I'm gonna put 4 on. You don't have to watch. All right, now I've got the 4 of them on. You can see it's kind of already at a little bit of an angle, and I'm just gonna push down on this until it seats. And it's tipping because of the weight of this. So when you go to screw the front one in, you got 4 of these self-tapping screws. They're gonna go through. There is. Let's see if I can get my phone in there. See that? Doesn't really focus, but that is where these go, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. And you basically, it self-taps into the plastic to hold the console in, or the safe in the console in that position. But like that door is going to do, it's pushing the weight to lift it. So you want to make sure that, first of all, I haven't tightened the side ones, which I will in a second. So I'm going to get that seated down flat and then make sure that it doesn't rock back up, it's the whole bracket. So if you watch, see the whole bracket's moving. So before you do any of that, you want to make sure it's level. This is a 7/16, and I am going to check what these are. So 7/16 goes with that. ½ inch probably. Yep. Okay, so testing my ambidexterity. Okay, they're snug-ish. Alright, so now it doesn't rock quite as much. Now we're going to take these guys. I'm going to swap hands and find plug or the machine part there. I just want to get them started. So I'm gonna mess around with that for a sec. So you kind of have to just go by feel. And you just don't want to cross thread them. And they don't have a whole lot of play. You kind of got to push on them a little bit. And let's see if we can get a camera in there. Yeah, so you see they're sticking out probably, oh, quite a bit. I'm gonna say close to 1/2 inch. And then the same for the back too. This one's actually easier to get to. So, but it takes a little bit, and to make sure that it doesn't cross thread, but it's seating. So, because what happens is the self-threading portion is already abutting the plastic of the console interior when you're putting it through there. Like, can't really show you, but it wiggles. See, like that. See, it wiggles, and it's already seated. So you just need to push a little bit to get it threaded, seated in the thread. There we go. So now you can see it's in there, doesn't wobble. Same with that one. And just checking all of them, and they're not cross-threaded. Push down on this thing real well, and then we are going to take our 1/2 inch. Actually, probably going to take this 7/16, sorry, 1/2 inch. And I'm going to take that snug with the crescent wrench. I said crescent wrench. It's not a crescent wrench. It's a craftsman wrench, but it's ratchet. So I'm going to just get those snug. Doesn't have to be super tight. I'm going to do all 4 sides, but you don't have to walk. So as I did that, got these all snugged up, the torque from the wrench pushed, lifted a little bit as I was turning. So now we take our smaller 7/16, and you can actually kind of see the screw right there on the outside where it's ready to go into the console. And this is pushed all the way down. Same thing there, you can kind of see it scuffed up a little bit on the inside of the console, but oh, actually no, maybe that's just that's a casting mark, but it did get a little scuff. Oh well. So this is the part that you don't want to over tighten. And my extension's a little big, but I might take that off. Let's try it with the regular one. So this wrench is a little bit big. If you have a smaller head, you might want to use a smaller, like a 1/4 inch socket. I don't have one, so we're gonna just use what we do have here, which is this and an extension. So you can see it's a little bent, but shouldn't matter. There's not really any torque that's going into this. It's just got to seat it into the plastic. All right, so now we're almost there. That's basically snug, and you don't want to reef down on it. And that is holding that corner in. So now I gotta do 3 more of them. And no, I'm not gonna make you watch. So you can see there's a little bit of a gap there. What I'm gonna do is I'm backing them out because it threaded that hole, and I'm just gonna put some pressure on them while I attach them again. Because I think it's wedging, this plastic is flexing. Yep. Well, I was gonna try to show you in there, but I just threw it in there. But I can feel it flex a little bit with my hand when I push. So I'm just gonna push this thing a little closer and hope it snugs up. Okay, so couldn't show you that because I don't have 3 hands, but basically I backed out the screws, and then they're loose by that time. You know, you don't have to use the socket to get them pretty much all the way seated. I just use the extension and the socket. Sorry, you don't have to use the wrench. And while doing that, I was kind of clamping like this as much as I could, pushing whatever, you know, one of these 3 ways. And you can see it's a lot more snug now. All right, so we did the same to the back. You can see they're kind of screwed in there. Stuffs from whatever. And you can see that there's a slight gap back there too. And that's from the self-tapping screws because they're putting pressure onto the plastic. So I'm going to do the same thing as I did in the front where I'm going to back them out pretty much all the way by hand with just this guy. So let's see, might not be able to get started left-handed. Nope, they're snug. Anyway, so I'm going to back them out. I'll get them started with the wrench and then back them out, and by that time there won't be pressure from the tapping process of those screws because the hole's kind of pre-drilled, if you will, and it should suck that back end in a little tighter. So yeah, you just use the wrench to get it. And this is just purely for you, the watcher of the video, but that's how I'm just taking it back out instead of using the socket wrench the whole way because it just keeps banging up against stuff. So one quick tip, when doing this, I actually pulled the other one all the way out. In order to stop it from putting any pressure in there, you want to back it all the way out. So you can see here, it's very, very loose. And then while you can't really push the, can't hold the plastic back here from being pushed in, you're hoping that the process from the self-tapping screw, this part, is not putting any pressure in there to hold it back because it's already made that hole, or to push it back. So I'm going to try to put a little bit of pressure like this while I'm turning it. You can kind of see the console move just a little bit. So like if I were to push like this, of course I can't push like this, and but I can from here, and that should help suck it in. One thing to note, which this didn't happen to me, but I mean it did slip down here like that back there. So just make sure it's not in between the screw, otherwise you're gonna have to tear it out and you have some of this combo stuff stuck back behind there. So anyway, I'm gonna just get it started, then my two-handed self is gonna do this, and I'll show you the video when that should be pretty much done. So this is the kind of awkward way that I'm putting pressure on this. I'm kind of wedging my forearm against the front of the plastic, pushing here and then cranking on the ratchet. It's a little awkward, but you know, whatever. So the final part of this is setting your combo. It might be easier to do this before you put it install this, but it can be done while it's installed. This console vault fits very flat, or lower than some of them where they're flush. So combo is factory set to all zeros, and there's a little bitty, see that little hole? You can use a paper clip or a metal pick or something, and I don't have any of those, but what I did have here in my truck is a toothpick. I call it a truck, it's not really a truck. So you put it in there and you just press, and you can feel it spring loaded. And let's see if I can't just turn one of those. Yep, there it is. So 0900 while that is being depressed. Now I let it out and it turns. So now that's my new combo. So if I change it to all zeros again, it won't turn. There's my toothpick that I will throw away. Anyway, that's how you set the combo on there. And I would again suggest it's easier to do that before you install the safe into the vehicle, just because of it being down, you know, an inch and a half or something here. And one last little thing is finding where I put that foam pad. There it is. And it appears to be almost the same shape in both directions. There's a little different cutout. So I'm not sure which direction it goes, but we're just gonna try it. Does not appear to like this direction. It's not labeled front or rear anywhere. So we're just gonna try it the other direction. And that seems to clear the bracket a little bit better. So that's the direction it goes. So that way your stuff doesn't clank against that metal crossbar. Anyway, there it is. It's in. Okay, I lied. That is not the final step. The final step is to throw all your junk back in there. Or at least the junk that you want to put in there until you figure out what else you can put in. I have some stuff that I will be keeping in there instead of the glove box, but some stuff fits and the manual does. Not quite. Maybe if we went first, it's kind of hanging on that. One thing you do not want is stuff that is going to cover the little latch bar opening. So this guy may not end up in there. Anyway, that's it. Throw stuff in it.